You are a millionaire yourself, but after talking to 45 super rich people, anything new that you have learned?
One of the results was I found out there's absolutely no relation between their performance at school and university on the one hand and their financial success later on the other hand. But there were other things that were much more important. For example,
my question is, if someone asking you for the most important advices on how to become rich in this world right now, what would be your advices?
Okay, first advice for people here in Vietnam.
Hello and welcome to the Quốc Khánh Show podcast. This is Quốc Khánh, your host, and I'm in a different setting today because we are shooting in Hanoi for the first time, and it's my pleasure to welcome a special guest on my show today, Dr. Rainer Zetterman, the author of this book, The Wealth Elite, in Vietnamese, đọc vị tâm lý hành vi của giới giàu và siêu giàu. So we're going to talk about the rich people. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
How are you?
I'm great. I like it here in Vietnam.
Congratulations on the book in the Vietnamese version that just came out. Could you tell us more about yourself and this project? What is it about?
Yes, this is my second doctoral dissertation, and because I found out that there are a lot of books about how to become rich. Some of them are good, some are not, but there's only very few science-based. In a lot of cases, it's only individual opinion how to grow rich. And so I had the idea to write a dissertation, science-based, about personality traits of super rich people, to find out whether there's a correlation between personality traits on the one hand and financial success on the other hand. And so I conducted interviews with 45 very rich people. Most of them had a net worth between 30 million and 1 billion euros. Some had more. And with everyone I spoke between 1 and 2 hours. So in the end, I had 1,700 pages with transcription to analyze it, and everyone had to complete a psychological test, the so-called Big Five test with 50 questions. So I had a lot of things to analyze in the end to find out what's their personality traits, these super rich people.
Wow, interesting. 45 super rich people, 45 interviews to understand more about them. So what are some of the key takeaways that you can remember?
One example, they enjoyed swimming against the stream, like non-conformists.
Okay.
And I think it's logical. If you do the same thing as everyone else, you can't get super rich. You have to act different, and to act different, you have to think different, of course. And one of my interviewers, he was very rich, some billions of euros, one of the richest in Germany. He became rich with milk and with yogurt. And so his favorite animals are cows, of course. And he gave me a funny picture. And this picture is there's a herd of cows walking along a path, 100 cows. On the left side, there's a very green and lush field. And on the other side, there's a field that is not as near as lush, only some grams of grass. And 99 out of this 100 cows go to the left side. But what happens, the grass is eaten very quickly. And only one cow goes to the right side.
Okay.
And he said, I'm the cow who goes to the right side. So this means swimming against the stream. Or another example, he's not a part in this book, but in another book, Jim Rogers. I mentioned Jim Rogers.
Okay.
And he's a investor. He became very rich when he was young in the 80s with a hedge fund. He did it together with George Soros, and this fund had 4,700%, while the S&P index in the United States had only 47% at the same time, so very successful. And he told me this funny story. he was very young, and he was invited in Manhattan to a fancy dinner. All the other bankers and investors were much older than he was.
Okay.
He was the youngest at the table. And then one of them said to his neighbor, not very loud, but so loud that everyone could hear it, how can someone be so stupid to invest in Lockheed shares? You know, at this time, Lockheed, there were everyday bad news in the newspaper. The price has dropped and so, and everyone laughed. And they laughed at him. So it was not a very funny situation for him. But later he earned a lot of money with this. And he told me lessons learned. The louder the people laugh at you, the better it is. And this fits to my own experience also. I became also rich with this contrarian approach to swim against the stream. This is my own story. And so this was also what these people, one of the things that they shared with me.
Well,
Non-conformism.
Non-conformism. So being different.
Yes.
And I guess that's one of the common personality from 45 super rich people that you have interviewed.
This is one, but of course there are more. I give you only one point that is very important. How to deal with setbacks and crises.
Okay, failures.
Because everyone was not always successful. Even if you look the biography of people like Warren Buffett or Steve Jobs and so, I think, you know, they were not always successful. They had a lot of setbacks and crises and failures. But the difference is how they react. And for most of the people, it's this way. If they are successful, they take credit for their success. Oh, I'm so smart. And to his wife, so you also know how smart am I, if they are successful. But if they fail, they don't take the responsibility for their failure. They blame other people. They blame society. They blame the market. Oh, it was the market. It was society. It's fault of my parents, whatever. Not these rich people. They took credit not only for their success, but they took also responsibility for their setback and failure. This is a difference. Also, there are a lot of things that they have in common, but very important thing.
Right. I mean, you are a millionaire yourself. You are a rich person yourself. But after talking to 45 super rich people, anything new that you have learned? Anything surprise you about this?
There are a lot of very interesting things. And one thing was, I asked them, how were you at school, good or bad? And I was very good at university, even the best one with. But there were a lot of others who even hadn't had a high school degree or were very bad at school, very bad at university. So one of the results was I found out there's absolutely no relation between their performance at school and university on the one hand and their financial success later on the other hand. But there were other things that were much more important. For example, what they did outside school, alongside school. Half of them were competitive athletes. One after the other told me this and this and that. So this was, I think it was important for them because they learned how to win, but much more important, they learned how to lose, how to deal with setbacks and with crises. We had this before. And another thing was, I asked them, how did you earn money alongside school or university? When I was young, most of the students, they worked for an hourly wage, like factory, taxi driver, restaurant. But these rich people, they didn't work for an hourly wage. They earned money with early entrepreneurial activities, especially in sales. They sold a lot of different things like insurance or real estate investment fund or used cars, used motorcycles or whatever. They had so many ideas what to sell. And I think these experiences were much more important for them than what they learned at school and university. I don't know how it is in Vietnam, but I never studied for MBA or economics, but I had some girlfriends who studied, and so I saw what they did. And they learned all about mathematics, formula, and whatever, things I never needed as an entrepreneur. But what was really important, for example, to learn how to sell, what was very important, they didn't learn it at school and university. Maybe you can't learn it at university. They learned it learning by doing. And this is maybe one important result. In psychology, we distinguish between two ways how you can learn. The first is called explicit learning. It means academic learning, book wisdom, school, university.
Yeah.
The
Book
other
smart.
thing you call implicit learning. It's like learning by doing or school of life.
Okay.
And
street smart, huh?
yes, exactly. And academic learning results, you have a diploma or like I, 2 PhDs or whatever. But implicit learning, you get no papers or for this. But for these entrepreneurs, it was much more important, this implicit learning, what they learned with their early entrepreneurial activities or as competitive athletes. And implicit learning results in implicit knowledge. And I have an easier word. This is intuition or gut feeling. And when I ask them, how do you make your decisions? It's more that you analyze things or more with your intuition, gut feeling. Of course, we use both, every one of us use both of them, yes? But most of them told me, no, gut feeling is much more important for me. But a lot of people think gut feeling is something maybe irrational or even mystical, but this is wrong. It's gut feeling, it's only another word for implicit knowledge, and this is a result for implicit learning. And so I learned a lot, especially about how important implicit learning is.
So the gut feeling decisions and the gut feeling reasons might come from your experience.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, of course. You are not born with this. It's a result from all your experience.
How about you? Do you make your decision by gut feeling or mind analysis?
Different to say. I'm maybe both, yes. Sometimes maybe more on the analytical side, sure. But so I'm not typical for them.
You mentioned selling skills.
Yes.
And I think that is a very important skill for the rich people. You know how to sell.
Absolutely. If you don't know how to sell, you can't be successful because it's everything is sales. It's not only about selling a product or selling a service. They told me everything is sales. If you want to convince, you hire a new employee for your company. It's sales. You have to convince him to work with your company, not with another one. If you go maybe to the government to get a permission, you have to convince him. It's sales. And everything in life is sales. Even if maybe you reach out to meet a girl on the street, yes, or wherever, or a nightclub, yes, you have to sell something yourself, maybe.
Yeah.
So everything is
True.
sales. And so they told me sales, and because most of them became rich as entrepreneurs. This is also another result. A lot of people think they become rich with maybe stock investment or with even with Bitcoin or with whatever. I don't believe in this because if you look at the list of the richest people in the world, most of them became rich as entrepreneurs. Look at Elon Musk, for example, with Tesla, or Jeff Bezos with Amazon, or Larry Page, Sergey Brin with Google, or Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook. Maybe Warren Buffett, you can say he became rich with investments, but it's a little bit a different story. I could speak long about this. But if you look at the list of the richest people, I think even in Vietnam, it's all entrepreneurs. And for an entrepreneur, it's very important that you can sell. And if you can't do it, then you have to find a partner who can sell. Okay, first advice for people here in Vietnam. Stop thinking about investment in cryptocurrency or any stocks. It's more likely that you will become poor than to become rich.
So I guess now money is not a concern for you. But for now, what is your true passion now? Just writing books and sharing knowledge?
Yes. In Germany, I wrote my autobiography.
Okay.
And I added a chapter 2 years ago. And then I said, okay, now I reached my financial goals. Of course, more money is welcome, but this is not my priority. It was not before I was 40. It was not after I was 60. It was only this 20 years I made this money. And so the headline of the chapter was, I will conquer the world.
You'll conquer the world.
What does it mean? conquer the world.
Your book translated to many languages.
Yes, with interviews like this, and I have so many. When I was now in, I mentioned this in this 5 Latin American countries. In every country, there was at least 1 page. In Argentina, even 4 pages. The biggest newspaper interview with me, and in the most important TV station in Argentina, it was 1 hour. And 2 weeks ago, it was in Brazil, 1 hour. So people start to remember, I'm only in the beginning now. I'm only in the beginning. For example, in Vietnam, not so many people know me right now. But after your interview, it will be some more.
I hope so.
And I like it because to share it. I was successful in life in different fields. But I want to share it with other people. What I know from my own experience, but also from my research. And another very important message for me is economic freedom. Why economic freedom is so important. And I think Vietnam is a perfect example. The next book will be about Vietnam and Poland that I write. The title will be The Rise of the Dragon and the White Eagle.
Nice.
How nations escape poverty. And you know why? Because Poland and Vietnam have a lot in common.
Really?
A lot of people don't know.
Wow.
You had this terrible war for 30 years. Terrible war. In Poland, they had war only 6 years, but millions of people died there in Poland, Second World War. After this, they had this planned economy system. You had it here, they had it there. But it was not really successful, neither in Poland, not in Vietnam. But then in Vietnam, you started this Doi Moi reforms in 1986.
Yeah.
And then it started to become better and better. I give you one number, I think most of you people know, but even 1993, 80% of people in Vietnam lived in poverty. 80%. Today it's less than 5%. It's amazing. Why? Because economic reforms, Doi Moi reforms. Poland was the same. Poland was the poorest socialist country in Europe. And now we call them Europe's growth champion because they have incredible growth and standard of living improved. Why? Because economic freedom. You know it in Vietnam. It was successful. You started to become successful when you introduced private property, economic freedom. And the same in Poland. And so I will write this book, and I'm fascinated. And all over the world, I speak about 2 topics. First topic is how to be successful, how to grow rich. We spoke today. And the other topic, how important is economic freedom for society. It's on you. Don't expect something from state, from the government or so. You have to do it.
Definitely.
And I like to share this philosophy with as many as possible people. And I get so many emails from people, for example, who read my books like Dare to be Different and Grow Rich, or this book. And a lot of people told me, this book changed my life. And you can't earn a lot of money with books. But this is what makes me really proud. If people come there on the street, say, aren't you the guy who read this book? Yes, I am. It is great because it changed my life. And then they start to tell me their story, what happened to them after they read the book. And this is the real, profit for me that I'll take out with writing books. If I have the feeling I changed the life of people, they started to think, for example, after this interview, there will be 2 groups of people.
Yeah.
One of them will say, well, sounds not so bad. Maybe I start to write down my goals. Maybe I think about entrepreneurship. Maybe I think about to set bigger goals. And other people say, oh no, it doesn't work. Let him tell. I know it doesn't work. What do you think, who will be more successful in life? I think it's clear, the people who are open for new experience.
Of course,
This is the same one of the results here of the psychological test for these rich people. There are 5 personality traits, and one personality trait is openness for new experience, for new things. There are some people, I know everything, don't tell me, I know this, yes. But these are not the successful people. And this is what I like with Asian people. They are more curious than Americans, for example. I know Americans, and they have a lot of positive things. But one thing is more positive with people in Asia. They are more curious for new things. I saw it in China. I saw it in Vietnam. With Americans, it's sometimes this way. It is very difficult even to get books translated in the United States because they think, if it is important, there would be an American who said it before. We don't need it from other people. Why? This is not the attitude in China. or in other Asian countries, as in Vietnam or South Korea. They want to know more and more.
You're so hungry for success, I
hungry
guess.
for success and hungry to learn more. And I think this is so very important. For me, what is a successful day? If I wake up in the morning and in the evening, I'm smarter than I was in the morning because I learned something.
Okay, so keep learning something new.
Yes, this is
Definitely.
so fascinating for me. Always learning new things.
I know that you also did a survey on the topic of the public opinion about the rich people. And you did a survey on Vietnam, Japan, South Korea, and comparing to European countries and the US.
Yes.
Tell me about some of the key findings that you have found.
Okay, first, what was the survey about? It was for another book that is also published right now in Vietnam. The English title, I can't say it in Vietnamese, is The Rich and Public Opinion.
Okay.
This is the first book about prejudice and stereotypes against rich people.
It's an interesting
because
topic too.
I think rich people, they are minority. They are minority,
Always.
of course, yes.
Always.
And today it is this way. I don't know how it is in Vietnam, but in Europe, people are very, very sensitive if you say any critical things about any minority. But not against rich people. You can say even hate speech or bad things about rich people. And there are a lot of people who hate rich people. And
Do they hate rich people in Europe?
Oh, not everyone, of course, but there are a lot. You can find it. You can find you can find T-shirts on the internet. Kill the rich or eat the rich. And you can even buy earring with a guillotine. The guillotine is for rich people. Or in the United States, they positioned a guillotine in front of the house of Jeff Bezos, Amazon founder.
Okay.
And here I come from Berlin, and there was a demonstration, and there were these posters: "Kill your landlord," for example. Yes, and so it's not everyone, of course, but you have it. A lot of negative envy. It's envy, and I wanted to find out with this research how envious are people in different countries. And we developed a questionnaire, the same questionnaire, translated it in different languages.
Okay.
And then I calculated something that I call the social envy coefficient to compare how envious are people in different countries in only one number. And the result was most envious people were in France. They are the most envious.
Really?
Followed by Germany, my country.
Okay.
And then the least envious people were people in Japan, South Korea, and Vietnam. They had the most positive attitude. Of course, here were also envious people, but not so many as we have in Europe. And another thing, we asked everyone, how important is it for you to become rich? And this was a very interesting result for me. In Europe and United States, on average, it was 28%.
28%.
And in 4 Asian countries, China, South Korea, Japan, Vietnam, it was 58%.
58%.
58, yes. So 30
a lot of people want to get rich.
Yes, and in Japan it was 43%. In China it was 50%.
How about Vietnam?
In South Korea it was 63%, and in Vietnam it was 76%. The highest number.
The highest number, I guess.
Vietnam was number one, and then there was another difference between Vietnam and all other countries. We distinguished, answers from male and female respondents. And in every other country, there were more men than women who said that they want to become rich. In every country, but not in Vietnam.
Really?
In Vietnam, it was more women than men.
So the women want to get rich more?
Yes, I think it was 80% women and 72% men. Also a lot of men here, but it were more women. And, I think a little bit women are different in Vietnam from other countries. They are more ambitious to become rich, not only relying on men. I was now at Foreign Trade University in Hanoi. They told me 70 to 80% of the students there are female. And I think this is one of the best universities here in Hanoi, Foreign Trade University. And I saw a statistic about Asian countries, how many women are in leading positions of companies. And it was in Vietnam, 36%, And in Thailand, for example, 24. And in Germany, it's 29%. So you see, it's really a difference here.
You wrote the book How to Become Rich and How to Be Famous. You had a book on interview with 45 super rich people. I would say my question is, if someone asking you for the most important advices on how to become rich in this world right now, the changing world right now, there's so many things changing up to COVID, and we're looking to the future, not the past, but looking to the future. What would be your advices?
Okay, first advice for people here in Vietnam. Stop thinking about investment in cryptocurrency or any stocks. It's more likely that you will become poor than to become rich.
Okay.
Invest everything in learning English. Why is that? Why is it so important? Yesterday I met a businessman here in Hanoi, but he came from Korea. And he told me a lot of startups here, people who found startups, they came from rich families. So they had the possibility to have money to start. I have doubts whether it's so. I think it's not so important to have money if you found a new company. It's more about the idea, because there will be other people, maybe venture capitalists or private equity, who will give you money if you have the idea. That yes, I agree, but there's the next problem. These people, they don't speak English well, and maybe they have a good idea, but then they have to pitch for getting money from venture capitalists. They can't do it because they don't speak English. And so yesterday I had a press conference about my book, and there was the same question. What would you recommend to young people in Vietnam? Should they invest in cryptocurrency or what? No, stop it. Invest in learning English. This is so very important, because otherwise I think you speak much better English than I do. I have no talent for foreign languages. I have this German accent, so I know. And I never had the opportunity to live, as you did for a longer time, in an English-speaking country. And I have absolutely no talent to learn foreign languages. But I understood you have to learn it. You don't have to be perfect, but you have to learn it. If not, you can't, if we speak about the future, you can't be successful. I can guarantee. So this is the first thing that I can recommend to everyone, because otherwise you can't read a lot of interesting books. Not all interesting books are translated in Vietnamese. You can't see a lot of interesting videos or read articles on the internet. So this is the first thing. The next thing I recommend to you, start reading books about successful people that will motivate you. Why is it important to read books? Maybe you say, okay, he's writing books, he wants that people buy it. Oh, of course I want it. This is the reason. I write books that people read it. But I mentioned Warren Buffett before, who read every single book with finance and money in the title when he was very young. So with 10 years. And his partner, Charlie Munger, I think you heard about him. He's partner for Warren Buffett. He's now, I think, almost 100 years old. His children call him a book on two legs. And why? Because they say every day he reads another book. I don't know how he do it. I can't read every day a book. But and not only about finance, but biographies, autobiographies about successful people, you can learn a lot. So young people, in a lot of cases, they don't read enough. So they spend too many times on social media and the internet. I spend also sometimes too much time there, but it's important. Second thing, read about successful people. You can learn from them. For example, my book, Dare to be Different and Grow Rich. I analyzed 50 biographies of successful people. Yeah. Maybe you don't have the time to read all these 50 biographies, as I did. So there's this book for you, that you don't have to read 50 books, only one book, to have all the results from analyzing there. So this is another thing. Then third thing is, write down your goals. I mentioned before, it makes such a big difference whether you write it down or not. So this is so very important. And then maybe the fourth very important thing, start learning how to sell.
Right.
You can't learn it at the university. Do something, start to sell, maybe on the internet or wherever. But sales is so very important,
Sales
and
skill.
and you should learn. Think about this very successful people there in this book. They told me they owe so much of their success to their ability to sell. And some people think you have to be born with, or you have to be someone who speaks a lot. So no, I'm not a salesman. It's not my to speak. This is wrong. Now I speak a lot, but if I sell something, I don't speak a lot. I listen a lot. Because it's much more important to listen than to talk if you be good in sales. To know what your client or your customer, what he wants, and then you can sell him. If you talk all the time, you will sell nothing. So learn how to listen and learn how to sell. And this is also very, and you can only do it in practice, yes?
Sales skills, very important.
Learning by doing.
Yeah.
And don't spend all the time on the internet to look for this stock, this stock, this stock. Yes, I have nothing against stock investments. You know, I'm invested in this exchange traded fund that invests all. But I know that there are so many people who lost more money than they gained. Think more about entrepreneurship. Think about how can I, as you did it, for example, you told me you were an employee before, as I was. Mm-hmm. You was a journalist, yes?
Yeah.
I was a journalist.
Yes.
But did you become rich as a journalist? No. And I didn't become rich as a journalist. I earned good, but I spent everything every month. And then I started being an entrepreneur, my own company. So I become rich. And so it's with all people so. And maybe this is another good advice. Maybe you're an employee today, right now. Maybe I don't want to recommend to everyone go to your boss and quit your job and found your company. So because not everyone will be a good entrepreneur. Try first to do something in your free time. Saturday evening, Sunday, in the evening. Go up maybe 1 hour early in the morning. Start to do something, and then you will find out whether you be successful or not. A lot of people in this book did it this way. First, they worked as employees for companies or as for a bank, for example.
Sure.
And then they started on the side to do something else. And then they became more and more successful. The same was with me. I started it as a side job. And then when I earned more money with this than with my first job, then I had the point with this, my boss, and I told him, I'll quit. And then he said, okay, why you want to do it? But we wanted to give you more money. Yes, this is great, but I want to earn 1 million every year. Do you want to give me 1 million euros every year? No, we don't want to do it. So now please understand, I have to quit. So, but first I started alongside this job. And these are some, I think, if the people who listen now to us, if they follow only this 5 recommendations or so, they will be so much more successful. But again, there will be some people now, they write down 1, 2, 3, and then they start to think about it and they do it. They will be successful. The other, oh, let him talk. It's all, I heard it before. I know that it doesn't work. People will be not successful.
Action is everything. Action is everything.
Yes.
Because you told me you are the kind of guy who do many things in your life at different stage of your life. How do you figure out what do you want to do in each different stage of life?
You have to do it. This is, by the way, actually so important because I was here in another university, I think National Economics University, NEU or so in Hanoi, and there were only like maybe 50 young students there. And then I did something. I had here 500,000 from your dong, currency, 500,000. Yes, and I put it there and I asked, who want to have it? Who want to have it? They didn't understand really what happens there. Then some, but I was so, who want to have it? Some started to raise their hands, but nothing happened. Another raised their hands, and then one of this way female, she ran to me and she got it. What was the difference? Action. This was the difference. The other one, they thought maybe, will I really get it for free? I go there, the others will laugh at me. Maybe I make an idiot of myself if I go there and it's not for me. And though they thought they had this, inner dialogue, but she not. Maybe at first, but she acted. And this is the difference. And this is entrepreneurship. Some people tell me whether you're successful or not in life, it has a lot to do with luck or with coincidence. I don't believe in this. I never met someone who had only always good luck or bad luck in life. This doesn't happen. It's not so important whether you met happy coincidences, but first that you recognize this.
Yeah.
You recognize this. There is something, and then the next thing, action.
Interesting. Thank you for the advices. I guess I have another question for you because you told me you are the kind of guy who do many things in your life at different stage of your life. Historian, journalist, entrepreneur, and now a book writer. How do you figure out what do you want to do in each different stage of life? Because someone could have a clear passion of what they want to do, but someone like you at each different state of life, you do whatever you at that time, do whatever you want to be successful at that time, and then moving up. How do you figure out what you want to do?
This is a gut feeling. You fell in love with some kind of activity. It's like you fell in love with a woman. How does it happen? You don't analyze anything. Or
Okay.
like
Just go for it with a gut feeling?
Yes, you have to love it, because you have to love it even more than your wife or girl, because you will spend much more time with this activity than you will spend with your wife or with a girl. So you have to really love it even more. And so if it is about love, it's not about analysis or something like this.
You didn't set out like a long-term plan for it at that time?
Yes. I don't believe so much in planning. I believe in goals, but not in planning. I believe that you have to have a big goal and then to start. But what happens in the way between?
Along the way, you can learn and change.
No, you can't predict. I will compare it with a GPS system in your car. You want to go from here to another city. And of course, you have to put in the GPS your goal. And then, of course, you have to drive and pay attention to the traffic. But the way where you have to go, you don't have to know, because GPS system will. And this is, I believe, in the power of the subconscious mind. You have to program your subconscious mind like a computer. This is what I did. I have one chapter in this. Maybe next time
How do you program your subconscious mind?
I tell you. You find it, by the way, in one of the chapters of this book, Dare to be Different and Grow Rich. Not in this book, in another book.
Okay.
You find it there. How did I do it? There's a method you call it in German or English, autogenic training. The founder was a German psychologist 50 years ago, or more than, no, it was almost now, I think 80 or 90 years ago. And it's a method how to relax very fast, a relaxing method. And it's like self-hypnosis. It's like, first he worked with hypnosis, and then he saw, okay, you can do also self-hypnosis. And I know this method. I write about this in the book.
Okay.
Then lie there in the bed, or even you can sit there on a chair in a relaxed position like this. Then you start to have this, formula. These formulas are the same for everyone else. But then, if you are in the state very, very calm, your subconscious mind, you can start programming. For example, I start then, my net worth at the end of the year will be this and that. And I did it every year.
Wow.
No, every day. Every day. I wrote down the goal, new year. But then I did it every day. Every day. This will be my net worth the end of the year.
Interesting.
And for me, it worked. It's because this is the same with the GPS. You have to have your goal. I don't believe so much in planning. Planning sounds for me like you have to know before, I have to do this and this and that. But you can't know it before how it works. More important than planning is goal setting. And there's a scientific theory, I have it here in this book, about the wealth elite. the goal-setting theory. And one of the results was that people who set concrete and higher goals are more successful than people who set themselves no goals or only low goals.
I got it.
And goal setting is so important. But then goal setting is only the first thing. Then you have to program your subconscious mind, that your subconscious mind will show you where you have to go. You have to see it, like in a movie, like in a picture. For example, only some years ago, I wrote down this goal, I will conquer the world. So for me, maybe some people laughed at it, but now it happens. My friends saw it.
Wow.
I'm everywhere, all over the world.
Because you're connected to your subconscious mind.
Yes.
Back then.
Yes, I did the same thing. Yes, and you know now it happens everywhere. I'm in Europe. I'm in the United States. I'm in Asia. I'm in Latin America. I'm everywhere, and it's only starting now, like here in Vietnam. So it works, and this is what is so fascinating for me, that every one of us is like a computer. But you can choose whether other people type therein their goals and you act according to their program from other people. Maybe your boss every morning program you what you have to do, or whether you use it yourself. And sometimes an ex-girlfriend, she told me, it's crazy. You program yourself like a computer. Isn't it crazy? I said, no, it's not crazy. It's crazy if I allow other people to program my computer.
Interesting.
It's not crazy if I do it by myself.
Interesting. I'll try that sometime.
Yes.
Interesting. So subconscious mind, you can reprogram it by yourself.
Absolutely.
Very interesting. Write out goals, set it big, and action.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing. Dr. Rainer Zetterman, the author of The Wealth Elite and many other books as well. Some of them are available in Vietnamese, so check them out to learn about the wealthiest people in the planet and how to become rich. Thank you so much for sharing, and I hope next time you may have a chance to write about 45 super rich people in Vietnam, maybe?
Sorry, when I go on, even I had the plan for this, but I really had the plan since 2 years, but I need someone who makes the contacts because I don't know them and who tell me, is he an honest person? Because this is very important for me, you know? Not all rich people became rich. Some maybe dishonest or only because of their connection. I'm interested in self-made people in an honest way. And I need someone to make this contacts and this interviews and translate, and then hopefully one day I can do it. Yes, it's really
maybe we can work together on that. Let's connect some people. All right, thank you so much.
Maybe something we could do together. Why not?
Why not? Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for watching. And check the book out if you want to learn more about some of the wealthiest people in European countries. Thank you so much, and please support us by subscribing to the channel, give us some comments, and follow us on many different podcast platforms. I'll see you next time. Thank you.